bebre na astati ana omo ema omo prophecies ahodo na so far bebre na support say eye Kennedy akompreku Japan na ebewi ni eye 31st omo frag viral race no na ene de ya me no ka say eye osofu penia ne say de eja edeni chempa eye Prophet Elbenardtzlakk because beginning of the year no na started ema some prophecy che say eye nyame ayi atre ne say eye Kennedy akompreku Japan na ebewi ni elections no na ye ni tua 31st na ye behu say also for the ensama okan na eye no kwen ana say ono nso na odini yefunu na che say ema some prophecy na ene de ya me no kasa ide ye ni tua analysis surveillance awodo a che say so far amount for journalists for no researchers for start ya omoye so far eye Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia na Eli na eno ena che say ama pressure bi abeto eye Prophet Elbenardtzlakk so a ene day eye Black Rasta aje nsem no wodi nsem bi abeto emonte so wa hia na eningwase aka Prophet Elbenardtzlakk yemorem na yenkotie nsem a Black Rasta editu Janevi
Prophet Bernard Elbenardtzlakk 31st May in 1979. Powerful man of God. I have followed him for a long time and his track record has been solid. He started his ministry when he was only 29. He started prophesying and many people thought he was going crazy. But everything God used him to say came to pass. I haven't heard a single prophecy from this man's mouth that has fallen to the ground. Everything he says in the spirit comes to pass. He has a church that is called the Spirit Life Revival Ministries. And he calls his domain the Oracle's Place. This is Prophet Bernard Elbenardtzlakk Nelson Eshen. He's a twin. His twin brother is also into the ministry, but he is not a prophet. Bernard Elbenardtzlakk Nelson Eshen is a very powerful man of God. Before Mahama became president, when everyone was doubting how a returnee could be president, he made it point blank in a blunt statement. He said Mahama will be president again. But he saw Mahama coming after winning the election, crying to him and saying, my vice president is gone. And true to his words, we all saw what happened. When Mahama won the election, around that same period, the vice president, Professor Nana, had to be ferried all the way to the west for treatment. She almost died, and Bernard Elbenardtzlakk was called upon amongst other prophets and men of God to pray, anoint her before she was sent away. And even after that, they were still praying. We are happy that she's still alive. You remember when Ghanaians came out angry why a private jet should come in and take the woman out for treatment when Ghanaian hospitals could have done that. She returned home. Today we see her dancing in one or two places, and every time I see her in the public, I get so excited. This woman would have been history. But for the prayers of the fathers of the land and all of us. This is Bernard Elbenardtzlakk Nelson Eshen. I have been to his church a number of times, and sometimes when I see him prophesying, I tell myself, oh Lord, why don't you let me prophesy like that too? My God, he can prophesy from the 20th generation all the way down and tell you your great grandfather's greatest grandfather 20 times and come to the present. And this couldn't be fake. No, sir. It couldn't be fake. And when you ask him to repeat, he will tell you the same thing 10 years later when the Spirit is on him. So there's no doubt that this man of God is not fake. Hey, he has posted all over social media. He has written a book. And in the book, he's made it clear that Kennedy Japan would be the next flag bearer of the NPP. In fact, from what he even says, when you try to decode, Kennedy Japan would go on to be the next president of the country. He's been getting insults. They insult him night and day. They chase him into his DM on social media, hurl insults at him. Some even go to the church and hurl insults at him. Some threatening him. And he comes to the church, sometimes a little frustrated, but he tries to keep his calm, and he says that he is speaking the mind of God. Other prophets have said something else. But Prophet Elbenardțlakk just returned from the United States of America. And again, he has come back to say the same thing. Remember, we spoke to him when he was in America, and he told us, and remember we played it here, that Kennedy Japan would be the next flag bearer. He said that there will be some noise around this time about Kennedy Japan. And the noise will inure to the benefit of Kennedy Japan. Those who didn't even want to vote for him now would start to think about voting for him because of the stirring of the water, spiritual water. And boom, Ajwasafo went out there venomously biting like a crazy anaconda. Hey! And the whole Ghana is saying that, well, it looked like it was a campaign message for Kennedy Japan. Bawomia's team is not even happy. And they are not going to give Ajwasafo another opportunity to speak at any campaign. Could Prophet Elbenardțlakk be right? Could he be wrong? Let's listen to Prophet Elbenardțlakk tell us point blank in his church, despite all the threats, the insults, and the frustration, that Kennedy Japan would win the flag bearership of his party. Watch this.
And I asked the angel of the Lord in the vision, what is this vision? And he said, the first group of people you heard are the delegates of the New Patriotic Party. And the second group of people are Ghanaians. And the trumpet you heard being blown is the voice of Ghanaians about their choice, who they want in 2028. And the delegates of NPP, they will listen to the voice of Ghanaians, and they will go and elect Kennedy Ohene Japan as the flag bearer for NPP for the 2028 election. They will go and elect Kennedy Ohene Japan as the flag bearer for the 2028 election. For Ghanaians have spoken, and the delegate will listen, and they will go and choose Kennedy Japan. I'm done.
I'm done. He says, if you don't agree with his vision, go and have your own vision. Again, this is a man who has a track record of prophecies coming to pass, never failing. This is a man who has confidence This is the first time probably he has prophesied and is getting these heat, insults, threats, and so on and so forth. Some even threatening that they won't give tithes to his church anymore. Some saying that, oh, he probably has gone to, you understand what I mean, drink something. But he doesn't drink. He used to smoke in the days. And he was a Muslim. He used to pray 5 times a day. When this man here recites Al-Fatiha, you will think he's an Arab. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. When he recites Quranic verses and you hear, close your eyes, you might think he's an Arab. He used to be a Muslim. He loves Muslims because he was once a Muslim. Like I always say, once a Muslim, always a Muslim. You don't despise what has shaped you. Never. I don't do that. Whatever has helped me to grow, there could be mistakes. Non-mistakes, near mistakes. Once you are not dead, they will shape in you and grow you. Once a Muslim, always a Muslim. Sadaqallahu Azim. Hey! Now the pressure is mounting on Bernard Elbenardtzlakk even the more. Watch this. Watch it. Bawumia leads with 56% amongst committed NPP voters in latest info analytics poll, global info analytics poll. And we all know who the boss of global info analytics is, Musa Dankwa. This guy. You see the way Bernard Elbenardtzlakk never fails in his prophecies in the spirit. This man never fails in his office as a statistician and a pollster. A lot of his predictions have come to pass. In the last elections, when he predicted some things, he was vilified and insulted. I remember my very good friend Paul Adumochiri chastising him and telling him to go back and learn. The gentleman that he is, he came back and apologized. This is Musa Dankwa. So one is the spirit, the other is the real world. He says that Bawumia is going to win 56%. By the 31st of January, the results will be announced. Who would be the flag bearer? Will the noise continue to favor Kennedy Japan? Who is sitting on top there, number one, followed by Brian Echampo, and then the Trinity, Bawumia. Then we have Educhum and my very good brethren, Kwabena, AJ, Ejapon. Who carries the day? Who wears the crown? Is it the statisticians who will carry the day, or it is the spiritualists? But this poll just came out, and it is saying that Bawumia is stretching the lead. It is increasing. Despite all the noise, Bawumia is still increasing. Bernard Elbenardtzlakk I do understand. Sometimes even when you see God and he speaks to you, and you see everything going against what God has told you, you might shiver. We have people in the Bible who doubted God, even though they heard from God and saw God. Could this be what is happening to Bernard Elbenardtz? Will the threats make him fall back? The tithes that some people are taking away from the church, will that make him re-prophesy? Or at the end of it all, would he come back for the first time and say, in the voice of Reverend Kusi Boateng, let me be the liar and let God be the truthful one? Hallelujah. This is the Black Pot, aka Kukushonomo, where we speak truth to power.